I want to share a quick thought from our encounter that we had yesterday. Yesterday, we were talking about paradigm shifts. When we talk about paradigms, we understand that they're patterns of thoughts. The way that we process something, it's our framework of thinking. And so, when paradigms begin shifting, what effect that has on our lives. And I'm reading this book by Graham Cook and Gary Goodell, and it's called "Permission Granted to Do Church Differently in the 21st Century." So I encourage, if you're a ministry leader, this is a fantastic book. It challenges paradigms. It does exactly that. And we are at a time where most of us are agreeing we can't just try to go back to doing things as normal. So one of the little excerpt from there, it says, "We cannot hold on to our order and still progress to a new level of anointing." Some of you may be familiar with that term, level of anointing. That's we probably say that's like an empowerment. It's just grace. It's an ability to do something that comes from God. And so to get to this new level, and this is not just for ministers, this is in any person's life. So to get to a new level where we're operating, be able to function in God's strength given by God. So it says we cannot hold on to an old order and still progress to a new level of anointing or empowerment. When a new paradigm unfolds before us, it will always take us back to zero. That is something none of us want to hear about. But when new shifting in the way our framework of thinking is, that's challenging us, it'll always take us back to ground zero. Paradigms do not build on one another, they replace each other. We start again with a new dependency arising from fresh inadequacy. Let me repeat that. We start again with a new dependency arising from fresh inadequacy. Feelings of inadequacy is something we all can't stand. We want to reject it as much as we can. But when God is, and when your life goes through a major transition, a shifting, and the way you think is being challenged, and you feel like, man, we're having to start over on so many levels, it makes you feel inadequate. But I want to encourage you, that's something we need to actually embrace, because it requires us to go to a new level of dependency upon the Lord. It forces you and I to draw closer to God, because we realize, man, we can't do this new way of thinking, this new everything that's changing. I can't do it, and I can't figure out the solutions. And that just challenges us to say, draw closer to God, because the solution is in Him. Our dependency upon the Lord has to go deeper, to deeper levels, before our experience can rise to new heights. Our dependency on God must go. So you feeling inadequate, that can be used to make you go to a deeper place of a dependency upon the Lord, which will in turn take us to higher heights of experiences in God and experiences in life. So I want to encourage you. Many people are talking about it. There's no going back to what once was. We're at just a new time, and so it requires a newness of a dependency upon the Lord. He's shifting paradigms. He's shifting our thought patterns. He's shifting how we do things. So it's so important to lean into that, to embrace it. And anytime He does a work like this, there's always chaos. But God's order will always come from a place of chaos. So if you're sensing chaos, if you watch the news, chaos is all over in many ways. If you're feeling chaos in your own personal life, it necessarily, I'm speaking to the body of Christ here, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the enemy. Chaos is oftentimes the way the Lord works. When God comes on the scene, it brings a sense of chaos. Now, God's not a God of chaos. However, until we get the right mindset and get to see the perception from God, it'll feel chaotic. That's why we must go into our place with the Lord, into His presence. So I encourage you, paradigm shifts are transpiring right now. They're happening right now. Embrace the sense of inadequacy. Embrace the feelings of, I don't know exactly what to do. It's okay. It helps us to have a fresh, new dependency upon who God is in our life. And we get this fresh impartation of an anointing to do something different, this empowerment to do something different that we have not been doing before. Embrace it and lean into it wholeheartedly, but resist holding on to something that God no longer wants you to hold on to. Repeat that again. Resist the urge to hold on to what is comfortable and what is familiar when God right now is moving in our lives, moving us into something different. Listen, if God's not on it, I don't want anything to do with it. So sometimes we get more drawn to comfort than we do to God. But listen, if God is not on it and God is moving forward, the anointing and the grace has moved forward. So you've got to move on with that. I encourage you to embrace the paradigm shifts that God's doing right now. It's going to come with a sense of feeling inadequate, that you don't know what to do. Accept that, embrace that, and allow that to trigger a greater leaning into God's heart to have a greater level of dependency. God is a God who's going to pour out a fresh empowerment and anointing in your life. But you must resist the urge to stay in the old, because God's not there. God's moving forward, and we must move forward with him. Be encouraged with that word. Let's move. Let's shift. God bless you.